I was just recording the Hive, HIVE portion for what's going on in NFL territory. And then all of a sudden, a phone call came in and it from Linda and disrupted the entire thing and it cut out. So now that really important beginning is detached from the 5 being the FI from the HI, whatever it means, I don't know. So technically it shouldn't have disrupted and disconnected because I pressed decline so I could continue through, but technical difficulties being what they are. So here is this. First, there was the references of the numbers on this M-ISS-ISS-IPPI. And now there is this Herchel Walker admission or denial admission of controversy of 2009 abortion, which Tia Frio, 1975, turned up in 2010, blacksmithed off of Falco. So now they even said there's some 700 reference to it. Now, for me, it's an aborted mission, not an aborted fetus, but it's an aborted mission that the blacksmith paid for that led up to Tia Frio. Same time in the field, might I add, one of the God, country, and family features of one of the most attractive men on the planet, whatever his name is, stood next to me daily in the gym while I was doing trying to fix myself. And I mean, there is no inappropriate behavior. And there is no walking around the gym speaking to other people. He was the only one I spoke to, ever. And purposely, and respectfully, and professionally, might I add.
From the Washington Post, a woman claiming to be the mother of his child says she had to press Walker to pay for the abortion he wanted. She claims she told him, "I can't afford to pay for this," and said Walker sent her a $700 check by FedEx.
Well, here we are. Walker. Yeah, I seem to walk Bell Boulevard a lot these days. It's a 700 with 2 zeros. Is that Alexander and myself? And then FedEx. What is that about? Are people making managerial positions and managerial decisions without even speaking to like the real people involved that are being harmed in several different ways? With someone offered a promise and then all of a sudden took the promise and just, I don't know, it's like it never happened, just disappeared, erased it maybe. It's a dangerous world, and it seems like there are things and pieces people know about. It just doesn't seem to be functioning properly at a lot of levels. Now here's the FI part, the FI, with something called a general and something called, his name is Mcmaster. My ancestry is McClurg. Not to incite riot act, just it's an MC. He has master, and they refer to him as master class. I don't know what a clerg is, but it sounds a little like one off from clergy. Just saying.
We're back now on CBS Mornings here at 7:30 as Ukraine surveys the damage from massive Russian attacks all across the country yesterday. Officials are saying at least 19 people were killed.
Now they're using a number of 19. Now, is this a message perhaps of 19th century children. What's going on? What could King George's ancestry relatives, as a reference, since it's the only one I've seen, we've got George Washington, so we'll go with King George and his descendants here in America, North America. Since that seems to be the theme I was born into, so I'm sticking with that theme for the one-headed bird in this area that has legal tender. But this is what 19th century arrival here feels like, with these aircraft and vessels just shuttling, and arrivals, and some business office operating somewhere and being totally left in a series of rooms and then almost like forgotten about. I mean, that's how it feels like.
Were killed. Many lost access to power, to water, to heat in what was the largest Russian attack in months. We're joined now by retired Lieutenant General H.R. Mcmaster, a CBS News foreign policy and national security contributor, also U.S. National Security Advisor. General, thank you very much for being here.
Now, this is a 5. For me, it's FI. It's Foreign Intelligence State. And he's the professional allowed to speak on such things. So I'm just sitting here trying to learn, but I don't know anything about this. Not what led up to it, not who's involved. I have no idea. I'm in a hive, HIVE, and almost in a blind, trying to read the teleprompter at numerics since I have no renumerations. But it seems that they pass numerations around, like footballs, baseballs, golf, tees, tennis balls, all sorts of stuff, volleyballs, soccer balls. They have a lot of sports that they play at making the big machine move when they want it to.
This is a landmass about the size of Texas, and you can see the scope of these Russian attacks. What stood out to you?
Well, Tony, as you mentioned, I mean, it's just the scale of it, right? 84 cruise missiles launched from various locations, about 24 drones, some of these suicide drones provided to the Russians by the Iranians. And the targets were to terrorize the Ukrainian people, to terrorize them with attacks on apartment complexes and school and busy intersections right at rush hour. But also, as you mentioned, to attack infrastructure, right? To pose the Ukrainians with the prospect of being cold in the winter, right?
Yeah.
And so all of this was meant to affect Ukrainian will in a negative way. But of course, I think it's had the opposite effect, Tony. I mean, I think it's bolstered the will of the Ukrainians to fight for their sovereignty and their freedom.
And they have been fighting. There's an attack on a bridge, which we're going to talk to in a second. But these Russian attacks followed a counteroffensive from Ukraine, which has been having some success. Can we talk about that?
No, yeah, we should talk about this, and it's important because I think the momentum has shifted with this offensive.
And just to guide people here, this is Russian-controlled territory here in the red, and the yellow is where Ukraine has made a push.
That's right. So you have Russia here, you have the Crimean Peninsula here, which is really important. A lot of Russian bases established there after the illegal annexation of Crimea in 2014. And what you see in the yellow is a vast amount of territory, especially here in the north, that has been retaken in recent weeks. By a very successful Ukrainian counteroffensive, a counteroffensive that's integrated some new weapons capabilities.
So, again, I'm learning vocabulary. Counteroffensive, whatever. I mean, I call it counterintuitive, but like he's saying counteroffensive. I'm learning from master class myself as a couch potato, a vocabulary that I wasn't born with, and the interior of my house did not speak about. I'll also mention things that are not that they had some bear reference this morning about a 747. If that ties into the 1994 and my mother. I'm just saying I'm not the only one with health issues. I see it on her as well. I just don't want to be disrespectful and speak about her health paradigm shift with what's going on while we're in this whatever.
Precision fires in particular. But the Russians are in a really tough spot. I mean, this is about an 850-kilometer long active front, and you can't be strong everywhere.
Yeah.
So what the Ukrainians did is they determined where the defenses were weak. They penetrated these defenses and turned the Russians out of those prepared defenses and made tremendous gains, 1,200-kilometer gains up here. And now they're consolidating some of those gains while they continue smaller scale offensives. But there's a very strategic area down here in Kherson along the Dnieper River because it's critical to Russia controlling the Black Sea coast. Yeah. And here you have a very deliberate counteroffensive going on, targeting some of the Russian forces. But what's happened across the front, Tony, is that
now what's interesting is Mcmaster's is speaking about the five elsewhere, which I have no idea why Black Sea is important, why this bridge from Crimea is important. I mean, I hear for delivery of things. I don't get Hive access or communications like this. There's nothing internal North America that's spoken of like this anywhere in my ability to or reach at T-Rex with small arms, small reach, and soft power. I don't understand how to get, like, it's entertaining in, okay, well, it's new vocabulary. It's a parallel universe to wherever I am. It's something to keep an eye on and to keep in the back of my head based on what some of the visual references and the sounds of the people that if they move in across the water to here, are they going to be friendly or are they going to be adversarial? I'm not sure. So this is important in that context. But on just being by myself here, trying to figure out my way in adulthood of how do I connect back up with God, country, and family, this level of speaking from a master class or a general, they don't update us on, or they haven't updated me on what's going on inside New York and up and down the East Coast, nor the West Coast, but let's stick on the East Coast in the Northern Hemisphere at the moment. Why are communications so poor that I don't even know what's moving in and out of this territory? Signals that something is really wrong.
the Ukrainians have attacked supply depots and ammunition dumps. And so what this does is it puts a premium on resupply from Russia. And this is really the Kerch Strait Bridge context.
Yeah, why that matters so much.
Absolutely. So if you take out supply depots here and ammunition depots, then you have to throughput supplies along extended lines of supply, coming, in this case, out of Russia, across this Kerch Strait Bridge, and into some of the key bases that are on the Crimean Peninsula, where they stockpile supplies and then resupply these forces, which are under increasing pressure from the Ukrainians. And so this is the context of the attack that dropped this bridge here in the Kerch Strait. And then you see this massive, retaliation by the Russians, because Putin felt like he had to do something after what he saw was a humiliation of this really great achievement of the Ukrainians to interdict that supply route.
All right, General, let's mosey over to the table, because I know Gail and Nate also have some questions for you. We are about 6 months into the war here, and this is the biggest attack we've seen since the very beginning.
I know, in General, you said the whole purpose is to terrorize the Ukrainian people, mission accomplished. What do you make of Putin's strategy, though? I attack your country, and then he goes on Russian TV yesterday and calls the Ukrainian people terrorists. Yeah. What do you make of this strategy? The Russian people aren't always getting the truth here.
No, they never get the truth, right? I mean, whatever Putin says, like, the opposite is reality. And I think what you're seeing now are some real cracks within the Russian regime, and I think in Russian popular opinion, it's hard to believe any polls, right, that come out, right?
Yeah.
If they say, hey, what do you think of Vladimir Putin? What are you going to say, right?
Right, of
Because
course.
it just disappear, right?
Yeah.
If you give the wrong answer. And of course, it's important to note that inside of Russia now, there are more political prisoners than there were during the height of the Cold War. In the Russian internal security services, more people than there are in the military. And of course, what did Putin tell people? Hey, this is going to be easy. Just leave this to me. This is a special military operation.
Yeah.
It'll be done quick.
It'll be done
Not
quick.
done. Yeah.
And now they've had tremendous losses, Gail. I mean, conservative estimates 65,000 casualties, right? And now he's trying to mobilize 300,000. And you're saying that a lot of these, he's mobilizing 300,000, but it's 300,000 people trying to flee the country. I mean, they've gone to prisons.
Yeah.
To recruit 80,000 criminals.
Yeah.
So it's really, I think you're seeing the strains. And we're talking about these massive attacks that just occurred. How many more times can they do that? I mean, there are reports that they're running low on ammunition. They're buying ammo from North Korea. So
President Biden warned that we haven't been this close to Armageddon since the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yeah.
How concerned should we be about a nuclear attack?
Yeah.
It just sounds scary when you use the word nuclear.
Yeah, of course it does, Nate. And this is all that Putin's got left, right? Is to rattle the nuclear saber. And I think that the president's message was unfortunate there, because it does kind of play into Putin's hands, right? Putin wants to incite fear, and he wants to constrain our support for the Ukrainians who are defending their children. I mean, half of the children in Ukraine are displaced, right? So we see this as a humanitarian catastrophe, but it's also very important from American interests, right? I mean, this is the return of major war to Europe, first time since World War II, right? And if Putin gets an off ramp, which some people talk about, hey, that's only a chance. That's a chance for him to look for the next on ramp, which has been his pattern of activity since he took over in the year 2000, right? I mean, he's conducted massive cyber attacks and disinformation, to undermine our democracies. And of course, he invaded Georgia in 2008, invaded Ukraine in 2014. This war's been going on since 2014.
Yeah, the war in Ukraine isn't an easy thing to break down. We appreciate you. That was a master class from Mcmaster. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Great to be with all of you. Thank you.
All right, coming up next, we'll look at some of the stories.
All right, now here's where they talk about the bear. Now, the 747, for me, seems like it may be integrated with something 1994. I'm not quite sure, but that's a phone number in whatever.
And how about this? The winner, I know you've been waiting, of Fat Bear Week has been crowned. Well, there's a little bit of scandal. The contest held by Alaska's Katmai National Park celebrates big brown bears as they feed and preparation hibernate. So here's the winner. Are you ready?
Yep.
That's a very enthusiastic. Bear 747, weighing an estimated 1,400 pounds, won with more than 68,000 votes in the final tally.
Oh, okay.
He beat 901, who got more than 56,000 votes. As we mentioned, this win did not come without. Yeah, there's a little bit of controversy here because 747 almost did not make the final cut because of an unprecedented case of voter fraud in the semifinals.
What?
Voter fraud.
I have no idea how voter fraud gets into like an integrated conversation between a high and a 5, and scouts and spies and their lies to cover their own hide. I mean, again.
The park tweeted on Sunday, it appears someone has decided to spam the Fat Bear Week poll. But fortunately, it is easy for us to tell which votes are fraudulent. Yeah, nearly 9,000 spam votes for someone in a very short amount of time. I should say someone. It was Holly the bear.
Nancy, people have a lot of time.
Holly.
Fix the bear.
Hella.
Animal competition scandal is really stuffing weights into fish.
At first, I thought maybe someone was feeding the bears the fish stuffed with the weight.
Oh, yeah, on the side, yeah. No, it was someone who tried to spam balance.
It's real tragic.
Yeah, 747.
747
Is the winner.
is in for landing.
I must say,
It's a
Nancy,
good
I love
boy.
that outfit.
I try to keep up. I try to keep up.
What is that, velvet?
Trying to keep up with the
Alexa Gayhart will be there to talk about her new show.
I woke up today, took care of my son, and I looked around the house. There is no man anywhere to be found that is over 6 foot. Just as an update in real world realm terms of this is just not where I'm supposed to be. There are real world signs. It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza. It's Earth, solar system, Milky Way universe, galaxy is broken, and it's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.